So today we're doing an R125 from 2018. We're putting on new brake pads, front and rear, and bleeding both the brakes. This is my first time doing a voiceover, and hopefully it goes well. I much prefer having my own voice in this rather than the AI generated voice. At this point I've already taken off the Allen key bolt that holds the caliper in, and then now I'm just removing the two Allen key bolts that hold the brake pads in place. The R125 rear brake is really weird because you have to lean it up, which is what I do in this clip here, and then I take the brake pads out. These are the old ones near the new ones, which you can obviously see they're worn. And here it is again, me leaning it up, and then you put the brake pads through. It's really weird, to be honest. That right hand side brake pad I had a bit of errors with, but it was in there in the end. Basically now I'm just doing everything in reverse, tightening down the pins, putting in the covers for the pins, and then tightening down the main holding bolt. When it comes to the front brake, the bolts are actually really tight. They took a load to get with. I'm not really sure when this was last, taken apart, but the front was really worn down, which you'll see in a couple of clips. Basically with the front brake, it's much easier than the rear. You just take off the two holding bolts, take the caliper off as a whole, and then you just take the brake pads out. This is a Gen 2 R125, which means the pins for the brake pads are held in by little clips, which were really annoying to get rid of, but honestly not too bad. Once I had taken the pins out, you could see the brake pads, and honestly they were super worn down, very close to scraping the disc, but it hadn't, which was good for the owner. Here I'm just putting in these stupid clips, which is super annoying, which I actually moved on, just put the pins and then the clips afterwards, which was a huge pain. Here I'm just spreading the piston apart because it was too tight to actually put it back on the disc, and then I'm putting it back here. Yeah, it just fits in.
A tiny bit more.
Had to torque these down to 80 Newton meters, as the manual says.
There we go.
Next I'm moving on to actually bleeding the brakes. Now honestly this reservoir on the front here, it's so lean because the clip-on bars, which is actually really annoying for filling it, so I ended up just putting a rag here later in the video. The actual brake fluid in the front really wasn't too old, it actually looked pretty new, but the rear wasn't that great. However, the owner actually didn't know when they were last done, so it's better to be safe than sorry. Here we're just moving on to the rear. Honestly, the colour of this wasn't too great. I think it had a little bit of a water leak at some point. It was had quite a lot of black soot sitting in the bottom as well, so I was glad I got this done. It's actually pretty cool. On the R125 you can actually rotate the reservoir, which makes it much easier for filling up and moving it out of the terrible place that Yamaha's put it. It was the exact same on the WRX, but the WR you couldn't actually move it. Yeah, basically that was it. Gave it a clean, tightened everything down, made sure everything was okay, took it for a test spin and it was all fine. The owner was happy, and that's another job done.